Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about self-love habits, and I have 4 habits, life-changing habits that I want to share with you. If this is the first time that you are watching one of my videos, then welcome. My name is Tertia and I'm a feminine embodiment coach. So the relationship that you have with yourself is the most important relationship that you will ever have. All right? The way that you relate to yourself informs how other people relate to you and how other people will treat you. If you feel, for example, that people keep on crossing your boundaries, if you feel that people don't treat you in the way that you want to be treated, if people don't respect you, how you want to be respected or how you feel you deserve to be respected, then chances are that you don't give very much of that to yourself. So the habits that I want to share with you are, I believe, foundational in helping us to develop that self-love. Now, a lot of the information that's available says, just do nice things for yourself, practice self-care, make sure that you get enough rest, etc., etc. And while all of those things can be helpful because they are loving treatment of yourself, I don't believe that it always addresses the underlying cause of why we don't love ourselves in the first place. So one of the entry points is with inner child work. So there are so many ideas, many different interpretations of what your inner child is. And one of these interpretations is that it's an archetype. So it's an archetypical energy that we all have within us. Some people see the inner child as that playful part of us, and then others see the inner child as the wounded part of us. So I'm going to speak of the inner child through my lens, which is the wounded inner child. And I think it's important to be able to determine what your lens is, because in the past, when I used to do or tried to do inner child work, when I tried to approach my child as that playful, lighthearted part of me, and I did all of these inner child work activities to let my inner child come out and play, none of that really worked for me because she was so wounded. So in my journey, my self-love habit was to really find a way to connect and regroup those fragmented parts of my inner child. So here's the problem with the wounded inner child. That inner child is going to get triggered. She's going to get triggered when you are in a situation where you get confronted or where you feel threatened. And what's going to happen is she is going to be the one that kind of takes over. So if this happens a lot, where your inner child takes over and she's the one running the show, obviously it's going to affect your level of confidence. Obviously it's going to affect the way that you believe other people perceive you. The capacity of a child is very different to the capacity of an adult woman. And when we revert to this wounded inner child the whole time, it is going to affect the way that we relate to other people and how other people are relating to us. Now, in order for us to create an environment that's safe enough for this inner child to come out, so that we begin to work and heal her wounds, is we have to do self-love habit number 2, which is the second one that I want to speak about. And that is to listen to our body and specifically calm down the nervous system. So this is what I really love about the embodiment work, is it works on our nervous system. If you're the adult child of an emotionally immature parent, if you are highly sensitive, chances are that your nervous system is already highly strung. So it's going to get activated very quickly. And one of the skills that is going to benefit you so immensely is if you learn the skill of calming down your nervous system. A lot of times when we get triggered, our nervous system gets activated and we then follow the trigger and our inner child gets, takes over and runs the show. But learning to calm down your nervous system actually brings down your amygdala, it reduces the cortisol in your brain, it really slows down your heart rate, slows down your breathing, and it lets you land back in the body. So the self-love habit, which is going to support you here, is to notice when your nervous system gets activated. is to take proactive action, right? Doing something like deep breathing or some EFT tapping or talking yourself down, whatever it is that works for you, is just to get that nervous system to calm down. The third self-love habit that I want to talk about is to work with our inner critic. When you've experienced childhood trauma, chances are that you are going to have a very strong inner critic. If you have a wounded inner child, chances are that you're going to have a very strong inner critic. And what's important to understand about this inner critic is that the first purpose of the inner critic is to protect you. It's there to protect you and to keep you safe. As a child, you needed to do certain things that kept you safe, but as you evolve, as you grow older, as your life starts changing, those same situations aren't endangering you anymore. But often our inner critic is so strongly hooked into these safety mechanisms that it doesn't always realize this. So the self-love habit here is to begin to work with that inner critic, and specifically in the self-talk. So when you have a strong inner critic, you're going to notice that it's very condescending sometimes, it's very judgmental, it's very harsh, it puts very high expectations on you, and you might even end up being like a perfectionist or a people pleaser, where on the one hand, as a perfectionist, you want to make sure that everything is done in a certain way so that you can stay safe, so that you are not putting yourself at risk for judgment or getting into trouble or whatever the risk is that you perceive. And all of these things happen subconsciously, right? So you might not necessarily know of them on a conscious level, or you might become a people pleaser where, in order to keep yourself safe, in order to feel that people validate you and that they accept you, that you do whatever it is that they need, often at the cost of your own needs and desires. Now, I often find that one of the ways in which we can work with this inner critic is almost in the same way as you're going to work with your inner child. So you almost want to give reassurance. Give that reassurance that you are safe, that the perceived danger that might have been true back then, a few years ago, is no longer true. And then from this point, you can start to choose new conversations and new ways in which you speak to yourself. And this then brings me to the final habit that I want to talk to you about, which is the habit of not believing everything that you think. So often the voice of the inner critic, the voice of the wounded inner child, the nervous system that gets activated, all of this kind of puts programs and systems in place in our own subconscious mind. So you're often going to find, and this is something that Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks of a lot, you're often going to find that you keep on doing the same thing. We are the same people showing up the same way every day. You keep on thinking the same thoughts. You keep on doing the same things. And great for you if these things are supporting you and helping you evolve as a person and helping you move forward in life. It's a problem, though, if you have the same self-sabotaging patterns that come up in your relationships or in your career or in your financial situation or in the way that you treat yourself or in the way that you show up for certain things. So the things that you think are programmed in around up until the age of 7, you like a sponge. So you're basically just taking on all of this information and it gets lodged in your subconscious mind. And then, of course, depending on your own lived experience, the culture that you grew up in, the house that you grew up in, the way that your parents or your caregivers saw the world, all of that is going to influence your worldview. And often, our worldview is part of the thing that contributes to us not loving ourselves. So this is what I want you to do, is begin to monitor with curiosity the types of thoughts that you are thinking. One of the ways in which we can begin to reprogram our minds is to replace what we are thinking with other thoughts. But it doesn't always just help to put new thoughts on the old thoughts, because the old thought is always going to say, hey, I'm still here. I'm still active in the body. I'm still active in the way that I make you show up. So you can't just come and stick something on top of me. So we want to go a level beyond that, but you start with first creating the awareness of what are the typical thoughts that I think about myself and about the world. And then the follow-up question to that is, how is this supporting me or not supporting me? So this self-love habit is about realizing that not everything that you think is true. My teacher, Jenna Ward, always says that the truth is in the feel of it. All right, so the truth is not in the thought of it, but the truth is in the feel of it. And when we then begin to work with our nervous system, when we begin to work with our body, and we really tap into our own wisdom, which is in the body, we can begin to find the truth of who we really are. And it's also from this place that we can find that true and authentic love for ourselves. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, so let me know in the comments below. And then also, if you want me to make a video on each of these topics and get into them a little bit deeper, then you can let me know about that as well. So I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, then give it a thumbs up. Also share it with someone who you think might find it helpful. And that's it then. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.